Hi, you are joining us live on Sea Talk, and we are joined today by Steve Barnes. So happy Groceryaid Day, Steve.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, it's the video was interesting for me to watch as well. It was a test of how quickly people could read. There was a lot of information on there.
Awesome. Oh, we've got some comments already. Let me just bring up, so just as people join us, hi Sunita and hi Aman. Nice of you to both join us. We've got about 13 people joining us already. So I think we should get started, don't you?
I'm good to go.
Great. So Steve, thank you so much for joining us. And I guess although it's a great celebratory day, it's Groceryaid Day, we're here to talk about some very serious topics. And I guess ultimately we're here to talk about how the charity can, or the trades charity can help retailers and help their staff. So perhaps you could just start off, for anybody who doesn't know, to go into a little bit of detail about who Groceryaid is and how indeed the charity can support convenience store owners in particular and their store staff.
Yeah, I mean, Groceryaid's been around a long time, 164 years. That age doesn't give us legitimacy. What gives us legitimacy is the fact we offer modern, relevant, accessible support, and we deliver it with compassion and skill. So we are the trade charity. We are there to support colleagues who need our help, whether they work in multiple retailers, independent stores, convenience outlets, forecourts, manufacturers, wholesalers, logistics, depots, wherever. We are there to support colleagues. Now, we have a lot of colleagues reach out to us, thousands in fact. It's a big industry. When you take the whole of the food and drink industry together, you're talking about 3.5 million people and their families. But we support thousands of colleagues, and we support everyone who comes to us as an individual. We understand what their problems are, working with them with skill, and then we deliver solutions that hopefully will put our colleagues back on their feet. I always like to say there's a sort of short term and a long term. So when somebody's brave enough to reach out to a charity for support, and funny enough, it does take bravery to reach out for a charity because most people's pride holds them back. I wish it didn't, and I wish colleagues reached out to us earlier in the journey than when they're absolutely desperate. But when they come to us, they're desperate. We need to understand what is the immediate challenge that we can help with. So what's the short-term solution to alleviate the stress that they're suffering from? We do quite a lot of support for victims of domestic abuse and relationship breakdown where they need new housing. We do a lot to support colleagues who have to take significant periods of time off work for mental or physical health reasons. We support a lot of colleagues who have to stop working because they become carers for a parent, a partner or a child. So we need to understand what we can do in the short term to solve the immediate pressure that has driven them to the charity. But then what I'm proudest of is actually the long-term holistic support we provide to grocery colleagues and their families. So it's not just all about that problem solved, we're leaving you alone now. No, it's how can we make sure that we help that grocery colleague and their family back onto their feet in a sustainable fashion. So they're not just coming back to us in 6 months' time with the same problem recurring. So I'm really...
Yeah, so I guess how do you do that? So what support is available for people who are listening now?
Well, there's practical support, the financial support. These are one-off grants and they'll solve the immediate problem, and depending on what that problem is, obviously we're flexible with the grant that we give. We don't expect that money back. We never have made a loan. We've never put a charge on an asset. But more importantly, I suppose, is the wellbeing support that you get through the helpline. And our helpline is a many-faceted beast. It's a bit like a hydra, I suppose, but there's so many bits of it that are there to support colleagues. Now, the helpline is 24/7, 365 days a year. It does have a language line, so you can use the helpline if you pre-book an appointment in 140 different languages. It's free for anybody in the industry to use and their family members. You get access to a trained counsellor, so every call is taken by a trained counsellor. We can then provide specialist counselling. We do actually offer 6 face-to-face counselling sessions for those colleagues who need more significant mental health support. That's how you access Relate. It's how you access mental health support for young people, Couth, which we just launched this month. Because there's a lot of children and young people who need specific support right now, and grocery colleagues don't know where to turn. But they can, through Couth, get carefully moderated support to support their young people. We have the chatbot, which is available through the helpline, Wobot, which is an artificial intelligence app which chirps on your up on your phone and checks that you're feeling well. And we have amazing feedback for that. There's back to work support on there. There's legal support on there. I mean, look, it's worth any convenience store colleague making their store staff aware that the helpline is there and that they can use it and their family members can use it, because you never know when one of life's little hurdles is going to come and trip you up. And the helpline is a fantastic resource to talk to.
Great. And talking about the helpline, have you noticed there's been an increase in people dialing it over the course of the pandemic?
Well, every metric we look at, we've been under enormous pressure throughout the pandemic. I mean, it's been an absolutely appalling time, and I think the industry has done an incredible job. The convenience sector has really found, its defining moment, and I think we've obviously suffered some terrible losses in the sector, which are heartbreaking. And we have seen a significant increase in support required. A 55% increase in applications, 87% increase in the value of grants paid, 74% more calls to our helpline, over 100% more Relate sessions delivered. And that was just to December. In January, we haven't got figures for February yet, but in January we saw a 150% increase in applications for support, which, year on year is phenomenal. And it does show COVID biting. And this last wave as well, it seems to have accelerated. Now, look, we've got some specific support for colleagues directly affected by COVID. So we've got the COVID-19 fund. That is a large fund that supports with enhanced mental health support, emergency grants. And sadly, we do pay bereavement support for colleagues, families, if the colleague has passed away, or for the families, or for the colleague if an immediate family member has passed away. And, it's a grant we never want to pay, and we've never had bereavement grants before, but we have been paying those this year, and we have, unfortunately, I signed off another one last night. So you can see the toll that is being taken on our industry.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching on a big topic for many of the people who've already given us a shout out already. I've got a question here that's come in from Ralph Patel. So Ralph says, I work with News Trade. They have, I'm guessing this is like a welfare visitor who visit people who have fallen on hard times. Do you have anything similar or regular support?
Yeah, it's a great question from Ralph. I mean, we have what we call legacy beneficiaries. So we have at the moment about 1,650 colleagues who are no longer able to work in the industry, mainly elderly, I have to admit, which would fit the definition of an almoner. But we also have some of working age who've had to stop work to care for partners, parents or children and can no longer see a way back to work. So we do support them with quarterly grants and enhanced support if they've got dependent children in summer and Christmas to bridge the gap when school meals are not available during summer holidays, and Christmas so that the children can have a Christmas like their schoolmates do. We were visiting them, Ralph. But we stopped doing that in COVID. Obviously, we didn't want to introduce any risk into their lives, and as yet we haven't resumed that visiting programme. But a large part of the support that we give is to what we call our legacy beneficiaries, though the growth is all coming from colleagues who are currently working in the industry. I'd say virtually 100% of the growth we're getting is from colleagues who are currently working in the industry.
So let's just say hey to some of the people who've joined us since we did the original shout out. So of course we've got the boss. Hi Paul. Morning Steve, he says. Is it still morning? It is just. So of course we've had Ralph. Hi Serge. Hi Charles. Feel free to comment below, Charles. I know you've had an experience of talking to the talking to the hotline, which you put kindly wrote about on a previous post. Feel free to give us a shout out, and thank you to the guys there. Hi Suki. Hi. Good morning. We've got MBE Abdul Majid, who we've interviewed previous. Hi, thank you for joining us from Scotland. A big shout out to people in Scotland, by the way. I appreciate this call is actually clashing with a Scottish committee meeting, I believe. So
yeah, it's an interesting point as well, Kate. Just while we're on the subject of Scotland, there is a danger that Groceryaid misleads as the name of the organisation. And in Scotland, it doesn't resonate that it is actually for convenience store owners and independent stores as well. So please, it is. I know grocery has a different definition in Scotland. All I can say is I'm not planning to change the name from Groceryaid, because our previous name before I joined was Caravan.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and we are really the National Grocers Benevolent Fund, but Caravan was the trading name, I think, till 2012. And yeah,
Sweet Charity.
Yeah, we still get the odd letter still, even today, from people who own caravans who think we're the charity for caravans, and that therefore could we help refurbish their caravan with a donation. So I'm glad to have moved away from Caravan, but particularly for those who are kind enough to be listening in from Scotland, rest assured, Groceryaid is for you, and it's not as the definition would entail. It somehow precludes you. It definitely isn't. And I should say that as an organisation, we are inclusive. Whenever you ring us, the first question we'll ask you is, how can we help? How can we find a way to help you? This isn't a charity that puts obstacles in the way. This is a charity that is inclusive and will do everything it can to help any colleague brave enough to get in touch with us.
Amazing. So we've also got a shout out. Hi everyone, from Sam. We've got a big shout out from the Big Cheese over at IRI. Hi Kieran South. Hi Steve and Kate. Happy Groceryaid Day. Inspiring to hear the great work you continue to do for the grocery industry. Thank you. And by grocery, of course, that is inclusive of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ralph just says thank you for answering his question. If anybody watching us does have a burning question, please feel free to make a comment in the comment section below, and we will do our best to answer it for you, whether it's a question from yourselves or whether it's a question from your store staff on behalf of them today.
I mean, a key thing to get across, Kate, is look, I don't want to kid myself. We've made great strides over the last few years in raising awareness of Groceryaid, and I'm proud of the progress we've made. Have we made enough progress in independent retailers, convenience retailers, forecourt operators, and their staff knowing who we are and what we do? No, we haven't. I can't walk into a convenience store and say, have you heard of Groceryaid, and be particularly confident I'll get a response other than a slightly puzzled look. So I think we've got, this is why this is so important, because we are there to support these guys. And if they don't know about us, they're not going to come to us for help. So I'm really appreciative of the opportunity today, and particularly with the high quality of colleagues listening in. If anything they can do to amplify the messaging of who we are and what we do, we'd be hugely grateful. We want to help more people. That is what we're here to do. I've obviously got to find the money to do it and do the fundraising, but that's my problem. The reality is we are there to support grocery colleagues in need, the more we can do, the prouder I'll be of the organisation. I'm already immensely proud of the organisation.
Great. And if you are watching this, we've got 32 people with us now so far. Thank you for joining us. If you are thinking, I'm finding some of this really useful, I'm learning some new stuff here, and you've got people in your Facebook network who you think might also find this useful, feel free to press the share button, because that will create a watch party and you can share that with some of your friends and peers. So if anybody is listening now and they think they know someone that might need help, what should they do?
Look, I mean, it takes a bit of bravery to pick up the telephone and call the helpline. I don't want to kid myself on that, but there are softer ways of doing it. So certainly I would push them towards our website. And that will give you all the information about the help that is available and how best to access it. And I would always say ring the helpline because they're friendly. They know what their role is to support people who are genuinely tending to be ringing when they are at the end of their tether. So, we know that when colleagues are brave enough to call us on the helpline, they're not often in the best state of mind, so they need some real support. But please, just if you can follow us on LinkedIn or any of the social media, so you get to hear everything that we're up to. I mean, I think we're quite a fun organisation to work with as well, because there's two elements to us. Of course, there's the welfare support that we're immensely proud to be able to do, but then there's the fundraising side, and that's all got to be about fun and modern events. And we have fun as well with the whole industry. There's one organisation I think the whole industry can coalesce around because we share a common purpose to support colleagues who need our help in desperate times. It's Groceryaid. So anything you can do to point and get in touch with us as well if you want to raise awareness with colleagues. I always say we will help you do that. But however you talk to your store colleagues, we will dovetail with that. So we don't want to create extra work for very busy people. If you just want a poster to stick in the back of the store, we can do that. If you want digital images, we can do that. You just tell us what would work for you, what would work effectively for you and quickly for you, and we will dovetail that. We'll go with the grain. The last thing we want to do to any business, big or small, is to create extra work, because right now you've got more than enough to cope with. And it's not easy out there. I am aware of that. So we will make it as easy as possible for you to raise awareness of Groceryaid, and then we'll support your colleagues when they need our help with care, compassion, humility, empathy, and I do say skill, because the team really know what they're doing.
Great. And you mentioned the helpline there, and Charles very kindly has given us a bit of a comment about his own personal experience. Now, of course, we are talking about convenience stores and staff who work in a convenience store environment, but of course the charity also helps a much wider set of people in the industry, and this is inclusive of journalists who work in the trade. So thank you, Charles, for sharing your experience there.
Yeah. I should say I'm not surprised Charles has mentioned that it was a lovely Welsh lady, because I don't know whether you know this, but the way these things work is if you phone a bank, you'll tend to find somebody with a Scottish or Yorkshire accent will reply, because we trust them more, because they're well known for being careful in managing money, and actually research shows that the Welsh accent is seen as the most friendly and empathetic.
Oh, fantastic.
So we try and go with the grain with that as well.
I'll try and put one on next interview I do. Right. So Suki, what have we got here? Maybe Steve, guys should contact our respective symbol groups and tell them what Groceryaid is all about. Good suggestion.
Yeah, that's a great point. Look, let's be honest, we work very closely with all the symbol groups, but if it's not getting through, then we need to work harder. We have a very close working relationship. In fact, I'm trying to think who we don't have a close working relationship with. I mean, we work very closely with, but there's always a danger that you miss something out here now. This is what I'm trying to avoid. But the point is well made, that it's got to be more just ourselves shouting. So I think we've got excellent relationships with all the symbol groups, and to be honest, I'm struggling to think of a symbol group that doesn't support us or lean into
That's
us.
great.
But clearly the message isn't getting out there, and I completely agree with that. The message isn't getting out there, because I know if I walk a Spar store or a Londis or a cost cutter, then it's unlikely that on the Groceryaid is there for their colleagues. So finding ways to amplify what we're doing through the symbol groups is important. And we're on a journey, but I've seen some really, really encouraging stuff from all the symbol groups I've just mentioned, plus a whole host more. Nobody is looking to shirk their responsibilities to share about Groceryaid. And I said, I'm really, really, I think we're making a few stepping stones at the start of a journey, but the comment I can't disagree with. I wish I could say, oh, we're out there, you should know about us, it's your fault. It's not at all.
Well, there's so many stores to get in touch with, and as Sea Talk is growing, we've got 2,300 people in the network now on the Convenience Talk website, and there's so many names that, like, retailers I've never spoken to before, never heard from before, people who are getting in touch and saying hi, and they've seen the videos, or they found one of the retailer posts useful before, and so it's like you say, it's a never-ending journey to kind of reach out to new stores and new people.
We did do something last year, Kate, which I was proud of and which is working well, which was we set up an independent retailer strategy group.
Oh, wow.
The reasons that the point was just made, awareness isn't where it needs to be. So I thought we need to get on top of this. So about a year ago, we set up an independent retailer strategy group. We appointed Andrew Thompson as the ex-commercial director of Booker to chair the group, and if any of you have ever worked with Andrew, you'll know he's direct, to the point, expects results. So that sets the organisation.
I find anyone who works for Booker is usually like that.
Our current president is Charles Wilson, very recently retired from Booker, and Charles has been absolutely amazing for this charity. It's absolutely determined that we do a better job in the independent community. So this is why this is so important. Now the group has a number of independent retailers on it. It has the symbol groups on it. It has the Association of Convenience Stores who do excellent work. And we've also got a number of suppliers. And we're working closely with suppliers that we think have a specific reach and purpose with the independent community. And I think we've done some pretty amazing stuff, but we've got to step it up. I think we had 100,000 touch points in the first 6 months. We had face masks going into store. We had field sales from some of the field sales operators going in and talking about Groceryaid, but it's difficult. We're just one message amongst many that independent retailers no doubt get bombarded with. So the independent retailer strategy group meets regularly. We've got very clear terms of reference and very simple terms of reference, and success is that we will have many, many, many more colleagues working in independent stores aware of who Groceryaid is and what we do and how we can support them.
This will be good news to the guys here. And I guess could anybody, any of the retailers watching this today, get involved in that group in some way, shape or form, or is there a contact for them to feed in their thoughts to?
Yeah, just get in touch with me.
Great.
Please do. I mean, my email address is relatively simple. It's steve.barnes@groceryaid.org.uk. And I'm pretty good at answering emails, people will tell you. I love doing this job. I love talking to colleagues in the industry. The reason I love this job is because I'm very proud of this industry, and I'm very proud of the colleagues who work in this industry, and I'm the lucky guy who gets to support thousands of them when they need us. Not everybody has that opportunity. And I always say as well, work's work. Everybody has a bad day. Sometimes it does happen a company won't support us on something that I thought they were going to support us on, and I kind of feel a bit bad. But every single day I get something that expresses gratitude for the work that the team have done from the beneficiary. And it is humbling, heartwarming, but it gives you that motivation to really push on and continue to push the organisation forward, do things that we've never done before, and make sure that colleagues who need our help know that we're there.
Amazing. So we've just had a question here. One from oh no, that's Do you know what? We've had so many comments come in. I feel like I need to just let's go back a bit. So thank you, Paul. The work you guys do is amazing. Dee is asking for some stickers for the staff room.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem.
Ralph, again, having been in retail for over 30 years, I'm convinced that very few retailers are aware of Groceryaid. May be worth a chat with the NFR and who can help spread the word. Thank you, Ralph.
I think it's a really good point. And I'm not going to deny that statement is fair and accurate for a charity that's been around 164 years, that exists to support colleagues working in the grocery industry. It's not where we should be. But we've taken massive strides forward since I joined the organisation 4 years ago in raising awareness, and we're going to keep accelerating that. Again, I think I've talked about the name. We're not going to change the name, Ralph, because I always think it kind of says what it does. This particular tin does what it says on the label. We aid people who work in grocery, and we have to work hard to make sure that independent retailers know that this is their charity. I don't think it's a surprise to me at all that colleagues have worked in the industry for 30 years and not heard of us. We were due to speak to NFRN, but obviously there was a change in leadership there, so that hasn't happened. But we work very, very closely with the Association of Convenience Stores, the Federation of Wholesale Distributors, the Scottish Grocers Federation. So those are relationships we've formed, and we're going to use to amplify the messaging. But I mean, these are the points that are helpful for the journey that I'm on. I know that we've got more to do, and Ralph is right to be challenging. And somebody as influential in the sector should know about us. It's a failing of ours, nobody else's.
So we've got Sunita, amazing organisation, and thank you for all your support. Do we have posters we can put on our staff notice boards, please?
Yes, of course we do, Sunita, and it'd be a delight to do so and to work with you. I was having those conversations about 18 months ago with your husband, and we need to make those things happen now. It's not difficult at all for us to provide that. If you just drop me an email, or we'll get those sent to you.
We've got what's this? You can actually download some from the website, I understand from Karen.
Yeah, and you can also order them.
Oh, great.
So look, as I said, it's all about going with the grain. We don't want to make things difficult for anybody who's going to help us on our journey of raising awareness. So the assets come in all sorts of forms, hard copy, digital copy.
We've got lockdown may be coming to an end, but the aid will always be welcome, more now than ever.
And I think it's a perceptive point, that, because you never know when life is going to, take a swipe at you and send you spinning out of control. You'd be staggered at how many people we support have everything planned, and then something comes from left field. 6 months later, they've been absolutely floored, and we are there to help them pick up the pieces. But it's so often no fault of their own. Nobody knows when mental or physical illness can overwhelm you, and we are honoured that so many people do find us, and we are able to help them. And we've got so many powerful stories about the support we've been able to provide, and we're humbled to do so, and honoured to do so. And as I said, it does take a certain leap of faith to ring up a charity, because colleagues have pride, and just wish they'd sometimes ring us earlier. Earlier in that journey, because the help is more effective the earlier it's given. It takes less to put them back on their feet the earlier they come to us.
I had a comment from it's dropped off. Where has it gone? Please do. Here we go. Steve. is there any way retailers can volunteer to help with the work that you do? That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a very kind question as well, because I think the motivation is fabulous. Yeah, certainly you can. And it's probably a separate conversation. But nowadays, most of the help we get is either around raising awareness and how can you help us raise awareness, or specifically helping us strategically. And we have a number of committees across the organisation. We need to have more volunteers from the independent community, actually, and that's no criticism of the independent community at all. It's us for not reaching out. But I've been quite intrigued that some of the feedback we've got from the independent retailer community is we're too corporate. Now, I don't think I'm a particularly corporate type of bloke, but I'm wearing a shirt for this interview, which I wouldn't normally wear, but in honour of the UK, I'm wearing a shirt. So we've got to break down some of these barriers that we might have created without knowing it. I don't see how we can be too corporate, because at the end of the day, there's only 26 of us in the CTIC office at the back end of an industrial estate in a town about 30 miles outside London. So, but we would, anybody who wants to volunteer and support us, we would love to have that conversation. Then we just need to find the right opportunity that works for the individual and the organisation. But I mean, even if it's just spreading the word about Groceryaid and WhatsApping it to fellow retailers is fantastic help.
Yeah, that would be a good shout, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, all these things to emphasise that we are there are very important to the organisation. So
yeah, and you know, I know there's so many people who've commented so far. And people who I know are watching and haven't commented, you feel free to just drop in a hi and say what company you're working for, and give your company a shout out if you support Groceryaid. So please do. But so I know from experience, I did 6 years on the London area committee, 7 if you include when I wasn't the chairman. But you know, we worked with people from a real cross section. So this is different companies, you know, competing companies, different trade press publishers and competing publishers, and it's just about everybody coming together for exactly the same cause, which is, you know, just the success of our industry and people who work within it, which is amazing. But if you are you know, unaware of some of the work that Groceryaid do, this can be, you know, from a career progression point of view, even this is a great place to network with other people and you know, just grow your network, but also you're probably going to make friends for life as well. So you know, we were talking about, so again, this goes back to Aman's question, which is about volunteering and getting involved. So whether you're helping some of the welfare officers on some of the you know, the things that you can do at grassroots level, or whether it's helping organize an event or helping raise awareness of tickets that are going for an event to raise money or raise funds, but everybody who's watching this right now, you're doing the best thing, which is raising awareness. If you're sharing this out, sharing it on the WhatsApp, and if you're watching this on the rerun, feel free to also share this out. But it really is a great place to a great organization to get involved in as well from a regional perspective.
No, that's very kind of you. And yeah, as I said, there are opportunities to get involved, and you know, it's one of the things we've missed, Kate, is, you know, we haven't run any of the events that we would normally be running to raise funds and bringing the industry together to have some fun. You know, if you look at our events, they're very, very different, I suppose, to how they used to be. But the one that captures the imagination, and I know some of the people have been kind enough to attend, is our Barcode Festival.
Yeah.
Which we don't know whether we'll run it this year, actually, but the industry really lean into that. But it's a proper festival. You know, we've booked this year Bastille, Dizzy Rascal, Becky Hill, Levi Roots, Scott Mills doing a DJ set. Got 3 stages, and it brings the industry together. And you know, a lot of the symbol groups are supporting it, and hopefully they'll be inviting retailers as well. But we'd love to see independent retailers there. It's a festival with a difference. And I've missed those. We've had a year without events, but the industry have been very kind to us. So you know, we are still able to support as we always have been.
Yeah, I've been off the scene having a baby. I come back into the trade and there's no events. Like, it's so frustrating. I can't wait. I can't wait to get out there again. We've got a lovely comment here from Raj Chandrana. So great to see how passionate you are about your job, Steve. Well done. And a big thumbs up.
Look, Raj, I mean, I know you'll love your job, but I've got the best job in the industry, so tough. You know, it's a job where I always say it's the one job where nobody in the industry wants you to fail, because the role is so important in that we've got vulnerable colleagues who need our help, and you know, I always feel that everyone's on my side. I think I've been quite lucky in my career, actually, in the jobs I've had. I've never really had to go into a buyer with a difficult negotiation. You know, when you go in to sell Groceryaid, it's not really a tough sell. I mean, you know, people, once they understand what we do and how we do it and how we do it with such care, want to get behind us, want to help us raise awareness, want to spread the word. It's a brilliant job to have. And if I wasn't passionate about this job, I don't know what I could be passionate about. I feel very, very lucky and honoured to have secured this job and had it for 4 years. I think we've made great progress. But the industry have been magnificent to us, absolutely magnificent. And I couldn't ask for more support.
So thanks for that shout out, Raj. We've got one here from Greg from GISP. All retailer trade websites should support and have a Groceryaid page to make it easier for retailers to get information and access support. Easy for all to do.
Yeah, I think some
Good
do.
suggestion.
I'm not sure all do, and obviously they're not all being discovered. But yeah, it's a very good suggestion, and I think Greg now works for a company actually, which isn't huge in terms of numbers, but actually he'll be working with one of our old colleagues. Who,
Oh, really?
Yes, went from that company, came to us for probably best part of a year, and then went back. So they should have a very good understanding of Groceryaid and how we work, and they'll realise just how passionate everybody is in the organisation about the mission we're on. You know, it's a funny organisation. The largest component of the team work in welfare, and you know,
big shout out to all the welfare officers if anyone is watching. Hi.
Oh, they're fabulous. They're fabulous. I mean, they'll be on the phones because at the moment we're getting a lot of calls because you know it's tough times for many people, and we're doing a good job in raising awareness, so more people are coming to us, but not enough from the independent sector. We know we need to do better, and I think some of the comments have been very, very perceptive today and very, very helpful.
Yeah, and we're getting loads of positive comments coming through. I've just had a text as well. So Matt Goddard from PepsiCo can't comment below, but PepsiCo give a shout out. We've also got Charlotte Prain from Pladis, proud supporters. Thank you. We've also got Lee Birmingham here, having been involved with Groceryaid for many years through its various guises. Awareness is key. The regional teams are vital to this and they do a great job. That's a good comment. Thank you, Lee.
No, fantastic. Yeah, I'm kind of loath to try and call out any supplier supporters because I do struggle to find any that don't support us, and I certainly won't want to name and shame them because it's our responsibility as we haven't inspired them to support us as of yet. But certainly an organisation like Pladis has been absolutely fantastic. You know, really, like so many suppliers, recognise that the trade is just more than a set of numbers, it's people. And they want to be there for vulnerable people in the industry, and they are. And they manifest that through supporting Groceryaid and the generosity, enthusiasm, and energy of so many organisations. It was humbling to see.
Amazing. And speaking of the welfare officers, we have one on their lunch break. Hi, Jenny Walker, welfare admin watching on lunch break. Thank you for everything that you do. Hopefully people who've joined us and heard everything that you do. So thank you for joining us as well.
It's very nice of Jenny to be joining us, but the job is quite stressful at times. So we do say on lunch breaks they should try and get a clear hour to go out and do something completely different to clear their mind. Because
and she'd rather listen to you instead.
Yeah, I promise you, Kate, she's heard me many times before, and the team will tell you that if I start talking, I often don't stop. I always say it's a manifestation of the passion I have for the role and the people that we're supporting in the industry which we serve.
Great. Well, apart from Paul, who says Barcode Festival, Barcode Festival is a must for me. Between the last 2 years, great fun. And we've got Charles asking if we can do more with cash and carries. I know a lot of cash and carries and wholesalers do a lot of great work in this area, particularly within the presidential positions. But I'm guessing he's talking more about raising awareness with their customers.
Yeah, they are. I mean, look, I think we've made some really important breakthroughs in the last year on some of the wholesalers that we weren't working with as effectively as we could have been before, and that's us, that's not them. And look, our president's obviously the chief executive booker, so I know that there's a lot of stuff going on in the depots today.
Great.
By Charles and executed by his excellent team. But no, with the other wholesalers, we're making progress. We're doing it through obviously the buying groups that represent them. I don't think we've got all of them yet, so there's a job to be done there. But we work very, very closely with the FWD, and James B will be there. He's obviously had a very, very trying job. I don't know if colleagues are aware it doesn't really affect this market, but I was very proud actually about the editorial in the Grocer where they talked about Groceryaid being the only organisation that offered joined up support for the wholesale sector, because we've been supporting colleagues from specialist food service wholesalers throughout the pandemic as well, as they haven't had a trade charity to go to. So we're proud that we've done that, and all it can do is strengthen our links in the wholesale community, which is obviously under immense pressure right now, and I hope everyone comes through it and is able to carry on providing the levels of service that the independent sector has always benefited from.
Great. I mean, we've had some comments asking for stickers and posters, but I guess we're coming to an end now. So finally, if there's someone listening who wants to help raise awareness about Groceryaid amongst their employees or within their network, what can they do?
Well, I suppose this is parochial because I'm a bit obsessed with LinkedIn, but I'd love more LinkedIn followers. So please follow us on LinkedIn. Actually, LinkedIn is a very effective platform for finding out everything, both on the welfare and the fundraising side.
Karen, can you drop a link whilst we're still live? Can you drop a link to the LinkedIn page for anybody who is on LinkedIn and wants to follow?
Wow, that sounds technical. I would struggle if you don't.
Sorry, carry on.
I mean, you follow us on Facebook, which is more aimed at the welfare side. So raising awareness amongst colleagues who are likely to need our support. And then it's just talking about us. If you talk to one person about what you found out today, or one fellow retailer, or one member of your staff, it might make a significant difference to somebody's life, or to the life of the family, the grocery colleague. So please do that. I hope we are now an organisation that businesses are proud to be associated with. I think there's a lot of good things going on. On the awareness side, it's a journey, not a destination. Well, thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. And the team will tell you I obsessively check our LinkedIn followers because I shouldn't tell you what happened, but when I started, I was told that we had a good LinkedIn following, and for some stupid reason, I never benchmarked it until I'd been in the organisation for about 2 years. So everyone kept telling me we're getting these number of followers, and then I started looking at other organisations which I would say have similar characteristics, and realised actually whilst we're getting extra followers, we were quite a way behind where I thought we should be versus our peer group. So the team have found I'm a little bit obsessed with that at the moment. It's a journey, but I think look, it's those conversations, and if you ever hear about our events and you're able to come, that'd be fabulous. We'd love to see you there.
We all can't wait to get out, trust me.
Yeah, I mean, June the 21st will be an interesting day. If we are allowed to do and behave as normal after June the 21st, I think there'll be a lot of industry events coming up, and hopefully I'll see lots of you at those industry events. But I think we're going to probably be the first with Barcode on July the 8th. It's a tricky decision, but I want to run it. I'd love to be the first festival to run in the UK, full stop. Can you imagine the awareness that would generate?
Make that happen.
But we obviously can't do it if there's any risk to colleagues attending, so we wouldn't do that. But yeah, it's been a really interesting year, and I think it was the year where we had to make our mark on the industry. We had to stand up and be counted. And one thing I told the team right at the start of the pandemic was go to where the challenges are. Mm-hmm. So if we read about organisations that are struggling with COVID, and we'll contact them, we'll proactively reach out to them. We won't shirk our responsibilities. We've one of the things I'm proudest of is where things seem to be the most difficult. You'd find Groceryaid at the heart of the help package, and we do it when we hear about mass redundancies. We're not an organisation that puts its head in the sand. We go into the midst of the fire and help those organisations and those colleagues when they most need it, rather than pretend we're not there. And I'm really proud we've done that throughout the pandemic, and I'm delighted we've been able to do that because of the support from the industry.
Yeah, and talking of support, thank you for everybody who stayed with us. At the height of this conversation, we had about 40 people online and chatting with us. We've still got 25 that are with us now, and thank you so much for making some great observations. Thank you for your questions and your shout outs to the companies that are supporting Groceryaid on this very important day for raising awareness. We will be posting this video on a number of different platforms. So if you are now a fan on LinkedIn, feel free to share the video on your LinkedIn and share it with your peers, because you never know who this information could reach, and it could actually make a really big difference to them. Also, thank you, Karen, for organising today's meeting, and thank you so much for your time, Steve. I really appreciate that. You've already given us 47 minutes of your time.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, and thanks to the constituency who've been watching. It's very, very kind of you, and I'm sure you'll help us on our journey. And I'd love to hear from some of you separately, and let's start a conversation. But thank you very much, Kate, for facilitating this.
No worries. And so 5 are in the post to you, Ralph, and 1 for you as well, Lee. Thanks. Awesome, great. I'm just going to play a little video now, so that you could share with your staff if they want to know a little bit more about Groceryaid. If anyone wants a copy of it that they want to send in their internal newsletters, let me know, or let Karen know in the comments below, and we can send you a copy. But that's all from us today, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.